Okay, we're on 12-1 tonight, and I'm going to have you do I'm going to show you the reteach side. I'd like you to do both sides, but I'm going to show you the reteach side because it has a really good step-by-step example of how you round. Now tonight you're going to either be rounding to the nearest tenths place or to the nearest whole number. Remember, a whole number, right here, if we look at this one, a whole number would be 28. There are 28 wholes and 91 1/100ths of a whole. Okay, up here a whole number would be 84 and 62 1/100ths of a whole. So if we're rounding to the nearest whole number, the first thing we do is we look at the digit in the ones place, we mark the spot, we look to the right. 4 or less, we're going to stay and rest. That means that it would stay at 28. Okay, if that digit in the tenths place is 5 or more, we go up a floor. Okay, so if we look here, we've got 28, we marked the ones place, we look to the right, we have a 9 in the tenths place, so that is 5 or more, which means we go up a floor. Instead of staying at 28, it's going to round up to 29. And then in those empty right-hand spaces, zeros keep the proper places. So that's how you would round it to the nearest whole. If we're going to round to the nearest tenth, we're going to do something very similar. We're just going to mark the tenths place instead of the ones place. So we mark the space, we look to the right. I'm going to look to the right. 4 or less, we'll stay and rest. 5 or more, we'll go up a floor. So this is either going to stay at 84 and 6/10, or it's going to go up a floor to 84 and 7/10. Because remember, we're rounding to the tenths place. So since we have a 2 in the hundredths place, that means we stay and rest. So this one will stay at 84 and 6/10. Now let me go ahead and do a couple of the problems with you. I'm going to look at number 1 here. Make sure you read the directions, because for numbers 1 through 9, you're rounding to the nearest tenth place. So you've got to make sure that on all of these, you mark the tenths place. Okay, you're rounding to the tenths place. So we mark the space, we look to the right. 4 or less will stay and rest. So this is either going to stay and rest at 81 and 4/10, or it's going to move up a floor and go up to 81 and 5/10. Well, since we have a 2 in the hundredths place, that tells us we need to go up. And so this would round up to 81 and 5/10. Look at number 4 here, same thing. We mark the space, the tenths place, we look to the right. So this is either going to round down, this is actually either going to stay at 13 and 9/10, or it's going to round up to 13. Actually, that would round up to 14 even. Okay, and since there's a 1 in the hundredths place, that means we're going to stay and rest. 4 or less will stay and rest. So this will stay at 13 and 9/10. Okay, one more here. 71 and 1900ths, we mark the space, we look to the right. 4 or less will stay and rest at 71.1, 71 and 1/10. 5 or more means we move up a floor to 71 and 2/10. Since that's a 9, we go up a floor. So the answer here is 71 and 2/10. Now let me do the whole numbers. If you look at numbers 10 through 18, it says round to the nearest whole number. So let me do a couple of those and then we'll be on our way. So with number 10, since we're rounding to the nearest whole number, we're going to mark the ones place. Okay, then we look to the right. Is it 4 or less, or is it 5 and up? It's 4 or less. So we're going to stay and rest. It'll just stay at 86. Number 13, we mark the space. Remember, we're rounding to the nearest whole number. We look to the right. 4 or less, we'll stay and rest. 5 and more moves up a floor. Since it's 4 or less, we stay and rest at 91. The last one here, 71. We mark the space. We look to the right. 4 or less, stay and rest. 5 or more, move up a floor. It's a 5, isn't it? So we're going to move up to 72. There you go. Good luck. Do both sides. You guys are going to do awesome.